Gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about the very stylish and classic father to the modern tie, the cravat, or ascot. Today on Big Pretty Man. Hi, and welcome back to Big Pretty Man, the channel for the extra large man who wants to live his life large and in charge. I'm your host, Timothy Big Pretty Crowe, a wardrobe and lifestyle consultant for the extra large man. Okay, guys, today we're going to be talking about an accessory that has really fallen off in the last couple of decades, which is a real shame. And that would be the ascot or cravat, which is basically this scarf tie that I'm wearing around my neck. And we're all familiar with it from either classic old Hollywood stars or seeing it on older men of nobility or wealth. You know, it is a very distinct look. And what I like about it is that it can take something that's really kind of a dressy, really kind of a casual, and turn it into a dressy casual instantly. In fact, you relate it with a bit of like a very sophisticated form of casual or leisure wear. For instance, I could just see a noble of some castle coming, who's just in his leisure homeware. When I was announced coming down a winding staircase to see me in a smoking jacket and, of course, a cravat. And that's the type of air it gives, that sophisticated air. So let's talk about the history of this scarf necktie. The cravat actually gets its name from Croatian mercenaries from the 30 Years' War and from the French. When the French would see these mercenaries wearing these red scarves that they had tied around their necks, they were very impressed with them. In fact, and they started emulating them. And when Louis XIII saw this, he really just went mad for the look. And he started kind of commanding people to start wearing them to court. And when that happened, well, the cravat was born. And they called them cravat after the Croatians, or the Croat. They called them the cravat after, a cravat tie, just the cravat. Now, cravat now just means any type of tie around the neck, even a regular tie, or a modern tie. It's any type of tie around the neck. But usually when we think of a cravat, we're thinking of this classic scarf type of style. Also, it is also called an ascot. And one of the reasons for, that's what it's usually called outside of Europe and the UK. Both Europe and the UK usually call it a cravat. Outside, it's usually called an ascot, which is a very interesting history. The cravat really got carried over into England when Charles II was in exile in France, and the cravat had come into style, and he started wearing them. And when he was reinstated as king and the monarchy was reinstated in England, he brought it back with him. So and of course he called it a cravat, and that's how it become popular in the UK. But the word ascot also comes from England, even though it's not usually called that in England. It's called that in America and the rest of the Western world, because it's named after the village or town of Ascot, which is near Windsor, where they have a royal horse race, known as the Ascot Royal Horse Race. And of course, being as the royalty are present for this race, it's their race, then formal wear was to be worn, and formal wear meaning morning wear. And with morning wear, you have to wear a much more of a dress cravat. Usually, and there's two different types. There's a more traditional and the more popular. But now, other than weddings, this or a royal event with morning wear, this type of formal cravat is not usually worn. What is worn is what's known as the day cravat or the day ascot. It's kind of interesting that we call it ascot in America, even though You would think they would have called it that in England. I think the reason has to do with horse race culture. But of course, the horse races and the stakes are in famous America, like the Kentucky Derby, and some of the others. A lot of times, and sometimes they do have royal visitors for these races. So I think that they kind of carried over the Ascot race tie or scarf to their ceremonies, and that's probably the reason why they call it an ascot, whereas even in the UK, in other place they call it the cravat. That's my speculation. I think it's got some logic. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. But yeah, so the ascot, it has been seen with worn by a lot of celebrities, especially in the golden era of Hollywood. Cary Grant particularly wore a great ascot. If you see To Catch a Thief, he wore this wonderful polka dot cravat and as well as other type of neckerchiefs that he wore. Apparently, he thought that he was very conscientious. He thought he had a bull neck, so he felt like he had to cover that up. So usually he's always wearing a tie, or he's wearing, if he has to be open shirt, he would wear a cravat. But it looked great. But you also saw people like Laurence Olivier and Clark Gable and Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn always wore a very nice cravat. But what they're wearing is the day cravat. The day cravat has become kind of the standard of what you wear. Now, the day cravat is very much an informal wear. It is definitely a casual wear. It can be used to dress up any type of say, business casual. If you put on a cravat, then also it's going to make it like a dressy casual. Even if you're just walking around in the dressy casual, with the cravat, it's always going to make things stand out. You never want to wear a day cravat in place of a tie for a formal event. That's not what the cravat is for. The cravat is, like I said, it is a sophisticated form of casual wear, and it will bring a lot of class to your outfit. But which makes it a shame that it is kind of fallen off. It is just such a great look. It brings a lot of instant color to your outfit. It changes it up. It's a little bit different. It's going to draw attention, and I highly recommend that you wear it. It's especially good for us bigger men, because especially if you have a bit of a chin. If you get the cravat, that's going to draw attention away from the double chin, just like it's doing with mine. Especially if you have a beard. Now you've got the cravat, as you can see, and you puff it up. The double chin kind of disappear, can it? So I really recommend them. I've seen some people like Sebastian Cabot, the one that I emulate from Family Affair. He wore some very nice cravats, both the formal dress cravats and the day cravats. So they are a good look for big men. Now, the cravat went through several evolutions. This type of neckerchief, this type of neck scarf being tied, went through several evolutions over time, particularly, evolving into different forms like the stock tie, which was worn a lot in the 18th century. You see signers of the Declaration of Independence wearing those, Thomas Jefferson wearing it. And then finally it evolved into the modern necktie, and even has the tie of it has some relations to even the bow tie. So really, this is the father of or even could be said the grandfather of all modern ties. And speaking of ties, let's get into how to tie your cravat / ascot. Now, when it comes to the day cravat or ascot, day ascot, or casual ascot, whatever you want to call it, the most common type that you're going to find is this type that has the sewn edges in the center, this pleat in the center, and it comes out, it fans out on both ends. Kind of looks like a big propeller on a airplane, doesn't it? But anyway, there are really 3 different ways that you can tie a day cravat. I'm going to show 2 because the third one, and I'm going to discuss the third one at the end. But first I have to go over a problem that we big extra large men are going to have with this type of cravat. And that has to do with its length and size and our big necks. Now, I actually measured this this cravat, and it is the same size as all the rest that I've ordered, and it comes to 45 inches, which that's pretty good size. However, I have a bull neck, like a lot of other big guys, and my neck is 22 inches around. So that, you know, if it's 22 inches from 45, that's 23 left. And by the time I put it around my neck, as you can see, my neck is so big, it's not giving me a lot of room to be doing any tying. In fact, you're going to see it'd be virtually impossible for me to tie it even, or even a little slightly off, in the traditional way. Now, this would work, of course, if my neck was like a lot of average size or skinny size men, somewhere between like a 12 for a very thin man, to about a 14, 15, or 16, or even 17. You know, in that range, they're going to have enough room. But for us big guys, we actually need bigger cravats. But thus far, I've not been able to find any day cravats beyond this size, extra large. I'm still looking. If I find them, I will let you know. So therefore, we have to make do with this. And just like we have to do with sometime with average size ties, I'm going to show you how to make do with the traditional sized cravat. Now, just like if you remember, if you saw my how to tie a tie video, how to tie a tie for the extra large guy, then you remember me talking about you have to take up the length on your left side. Well, excuse me, on your right side. So you're really going to have to do that big time with this. So now, what you do is when you put it around your neck, you got to take up some length. So probably as much as you can. Matters on your neck size, but take it up as much as you can so that you give yourself extra length here. Okay. With me, I have to take it up about to there. I'm not even lying. I don't have a lot of tail. So now the first one I'm going to show you is the traditional one, and that is basically just to do a crossover once like that. This is called the simple knot, like that, and tighten it up. Then it's simple, just that top one, kind of crinkle it out, spread it out on top like that. And remember, this always goes behind inside your collar. So like that, just spread it out, as you can see, and then take the extra, tuck it down in, and spread it out, and, the way you want it, get your way you want it. Now, and then you can button up. Now, there's two ways you can do it. You can either matter it on the shirt, matter on the style, matter on what you want to do. Now, you could either go ahead and leave it like this and kind of pucker it, and it gives you a little bit of a Errol Flynn look. Or if you want to and you want to be a little more conservative, you can always do this one button, and then you can kind of pull and puff it. Puff it out a little bit. You know, a little bit of that look. I think both have their strengths. Both have their place. No matter what you're doing. But I will say, if you do it like this on a hotter day, you just got to have to watch not to show too much neck. If you show a little neck, not a big deal. I find this one actually is a lot cooler if it's a summer day, and I still think it looks it looks pretty sharp. I think doing this, it looks pretty sharp. So that is the first way. Now it's just that simple. Problem with this one is, and you may have guessed it, it's going to come loose real easy. It's going to work loose, and it's going to be a mess. So it's not very secure. You can't get it tight enough. It's going to come loose. So therefore, you need another tie. And this one is the more traditional tie. And this one will hold it in place. And once again, now normally they would put it around their neck and do it this way. But once again, I have to take up a lot of slack. Basically just get enough, I have enough to do it. And the way you're going to do it is like a 4, and once again, keep it behind your collar. What you need to do is, you're going to do like you did a 4 1/2. If you don't know how to do a 4 1/2, refer to my video on how to tie a tie. Well, the first one was 4 1/2. And what you do is you take and you go over it once, over it twice, like that, and then you can kind of cinch it up the way you want. Now we're almost to a 4 1/2, but instead of going up and through the loop, you just go up and through the back here. Bring it up and through the back like that, over the knot that you just made, and once again, hooker it out, stuff it, and then stuff it down in. Now, I will tell you, sorry if it's making a lot of racket on my Mac, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. Nobody said it wasn't gonna be a fight. So, and if you do like that, now it's not gonna move. I've worn it like this all day long, talking, moving, all this, and it does not move. You might have to look in the mirror sometimes, yes. And once again, you can still do it the same way. You can do your button up, leaving just the top button undone, and kind of poof it out like that. Get the way you want it, or you can do your second button down, and and leave it puffed out. And if you do show a little neck, ain't that big a deal. And it's like that. Make sure it's really shoved down the back, like that. And that's the best way to do it. Now there is a third way, and it basically is doing a full 4 1/2 with an extra twist. However, for that one, really can't do it with this type of cravat. You really need to do that with more of a scarf. And I'm going to go over how to do that particular cravat tie with a scarf when I go over summer and winter scarves in a separate video. So look forward to that one. Give you a reason to tune in. But yeah, I really recommend the traditional. And if you're in a pinch, you can do the simple. Okay, guys, well, that's all I've got for the Cravat / Ascot. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot them down in the comments down below. And hey, if you know of any larger cravat companies, or you have any advices on how to tie a cravat, I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already become a member of the Big Pretty Nation, then please hit this little King Henry head with my pretty face and subscribe. I'd love to have you. You can also reach me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from my fans and my subscribers. I always respond back, or at least the best that I can. So, come on aboard. And until then, you know what? Go out and get you some cravats or ascots, whatever you want to call them. Get them in a lot of interesting patterns and colors. Make your outfit pop. Turn that casual dress into suddenly a dressy casual dress with just one scarf, because you know what? It'll help you stay pretty.